This is the arrangement of it. And if you look at a silicon crystal under a microscope, all right, we have different devices for different uses. We have a telescope to look at starry objects. We have binoculars to look at faraway things. Similarly, we have microscope to look at very minute microscopic things. So when you look at a very, let's say, an electron microscope as such, this is how our atom looks like. Wherein there is this nucleus. The nucleus, as you know, is consisting of protons and neutrons. Protons are positively charged, neutrons are neutral. All right, they are holding what we call as a nucleus, and these circular things which is around this particular nucleus are the electrons. I compare this to our solar system. This is the sun, and this being the other planets. All right. Now these elements should be in a stable condition. All right. Now, when are they unstable? When they are unstable, when the number of electrons is equal to the number of protons. All right. That means there is no extra positive charge and there is no extra negative charge. That is the step or stage wherein the element is in equilibrium. Now, when we say when I'm passing electricity, that means I'm pushing electrons, or in other words, I'm shooting electrons. If you have seen movies, people shoot each other, no? With AK-47, they shoot with bullets. So electricity is just like that, wherein this electrons just pushing through, making your way, all right? And of course, that destroys the natural structure of an element, all right? So if you were to look at our silicon in its room temperature, in its equilibrium state, all the it's fine, and we are concerned about the last what do you call the last band, all right? So this last band, as you can see, it's got 4 electrons, and it's mutually shared with the other atoms. All right, so it's all at peace. Now, this as such does not help us much, but we are going to add some impurity to this silicon atom or the silicon crystal. All right. So when we add some silicon crystal to it, we call that as impurity. All right. I use the other term wherein athletes are tested for doping. All right. And they try to find out whether they used any chemicals or any medicine to perform better. All right. So similarly, we are consciously, we are explicitly adding some impurities to the silicon crystals so that it behaves differently. All right, that process is called as doping. All right, and we have a p-type doping. P here stands for positive charge. So when do we have a positive charge? When there are more number of protons than electrons, or in other words, there is less electron. All right. So to help us with a p-type doping, we have at least two of these elements. But for our sake of our example, we'll only consider boron from now on. All right, B. So boron is a positive boron. We're going to add as a dopant to our silicon crystal. All right. Now, if you can see, boron is coming over here, and boron comes with 5 electrons. All right. So Si stands for silicon, and I'm pushing boron into it. Now, if you were to see our silicon earlier, in this particular, let me give a better example. In this particular example, all are silicon, all right? So that means it's a pure silicon crystal, all right? Nothing as such is happening, all right? But here, I'm introducing a new element into it, all right? That is a boron, as you can see from the periodic table. Now, this boron is an element which we add over here, all right? And as you can see, the moment boron is placed, this particular crystal is going to have a positive charge, all right? Now, as you can see, as you know earlier, all these silicon crystals or the silicon atoms were in equilibrium. They were sharing the electrons, all right? Now, the moment I introduced boron, there is an extra hole which is created, all right? Um, all right, so that is what we call as p-type doping. All right, next we have the n-type doping, wherein we do this because we are introducing, or we are achieving this n-type because we are introducing phosphorus, which is an element, into the silicon crystal. Now, to achieve our n-type doping, I can either use phosphorus or arsenic. All right, these are the two types. All right, so I am introducing that. All right, Probably this is the question which you had, Anand, all right, to really find out what this is.
So,
Yeah, I shall come back to it. Okay, I have not looked into this. I had the other things to take care of. All right.
anatomy, sir.
Sorry.
Anatomy.
All right, all right. Just give me a second, guys. Hold on. So far, what do we know? So far, we know that we have silicon. We are not using silicon as it is. We are going to dope the silicon, and we have two ways of doping. We can dope in such a way that the silicon crystal becomes an N type, or we can dope in such a way that the silicon becomes a P type. All right. So when I say N type, I can use either of these two elements to really make it as an N type. All right. Now, how does it become an N type? Now, as you know, in a P type, as you know, it becomes P type when there is extra holes in the silicon crystal after doping. All right. So what happens when in an N type? In an N type, there are extra electrons. All right. All right. So as you can see here, previously in the previous case, there was an extra hole. How is a hole formed? A hole is formed when there is a missing electron. All right. Now, as I told you earlier, all these silicons are mutually sharing their electrons. And when you introduce a particular item with one less electron, then there is a positive charge there. All right. So that is a hole. Similarly, in an N-type, when we are introducing an element with an extra electron, then that electron freely is dancing around. All right, it wants to push this particular electron from this band, and then it sits there, and that electron is now free, and it's going to dash with somewhere else, other band, and then push that electron and so on. So we have one free electron floating around, and so this particular N-type is now having the charge carrier as an electron. All right. Whereas in a p-type, the charge carrier is a hole. All right. So in a p-type, we have a hole, which is a charge carrier. There is no actually hole floating around. There's just an absence of an electron. All right. And here in an n-type, there is an extra electron which is floating around. All right. So these are the two ways of doping. All of this was done in the last class. So I'm just making sure we understand that. All right. Now, question. What is doped to a silicon crystal to make it an N-type?
Phosphorus.
All right. Phosphorus is one good element. All right. We just saw we have two elements which we can dope to achieve N-type. One is phosphorus. Okay. At least let's remember that. All right. Okay. That is a good answer. What is the charge carrier in N-type?
Electrons.
Electrons. What is the charge carrier in P-type?
Holes.
Holes. Okay, good. So those are the two charge carriers in excess. All right. So in our silicon crystal at equilibrium, there is no extra electron. There is no holes. The moment I dope it with a p-type, then there is extra holes or a positive charge carrier. And in an n-type, there is extra electron by which there is a negative charge carrier there. Now, question. Now you should think and tell this. If at all, if you have watched that video, then this question will be very easy. If you have not watched, then you should really think. What conducts electricity? Does the N-type conduct or does the P-type conduct? Now, how do I ask it to, how do I make sure whether it conducts electricity? Now I have to connect these two ends of a crystal to a battery. If you have seen any devices which is operated on battery, then you know that there is a slot where the positive side of the battery is to be inserted, and similarly when you insert that, you should also make sure that the negative point is correctly fixed. So there are two ends to a battery, we know that. Now if you take a battery and take a wire and then join this crystal, let's say we are taking an n-type crystal and then we are joining that. Do you think now that n-type crystal, n-type semiconductor crystal will conduct electricity? Just as many of you said, yes, that is right. Both n-type and p-type will conduct electricity. All right, that's good, interesting. All right, but we are looking for, we've come all this way. We have done so much of research. We will understood microscopically how a silicon crystals form. Then we try to add another element to it, not just to arrive at here, but to arrive at a point as to what will happen when I join this N-type and P-type. All right. Now that we call as a PN junction. All right. Now you would have heard this particular terms in railway station, wherein this is Jolapete junction. This is few stations are called as junctions, wherein 2 or 3 terminals meet. All right, from different directions. All right. So here, as you can see, one particular thing is P-type and the other is N-type. All right. So we call, we take P-type crystal and N-type crystal, we join them, all right, and then we are applying electric current to it. Now, how do we apply electric current? Just as I said, take a battery and connect it, connect the one end to the other and the other end to the other side, all right. So if you're connecting the negative charge to the N-type and the positive charge to the P-type, then that's called as forward biasing, all right. If you're connecting the N-type, the negative terminal to the N-type and the positive terminal to the P-type, then that's forward biasing. All right. And there's a nice analysis which happens, all right, in this particular junction when we connect. All right. So you initially, the moment we are able to join these two, all right, what really happens is, all right, I'll just show you over here. All right. So in P-type region, there are holes. We know that. All right. From the impurities which you've added. And in the N-type, we know that there are electrons. So the moment we connect, these electrons are jumping to these holes. All right. And so that particular region at the middle is called as a depletion region. All right. And we know that the depletion region can extend or can shrink. All right. Now, what are we doing? We are taking semiconductor, we are doping it with different elements. We know one type of doping results in N-type, and the other doping with a different element will result in a P-type. All right. So N-type and P-type. Now we are joining these two semiconductors and we are applying current to it. Before that, I asked you a question. Does N-type alone conduct electricity? You said yes. That is correct. Does P-type alone conduct electricity? Yes, that is correct. It does conduct electricity. But we are not interested with that. We are interested with what really happens when I take a P-type semiconductor and I take an N-type semiconductor and I join these two and then connect to a battery. All right. So the moment I join this P-type and N-type, as I told you earlier, the rules of magnetism, unlike poles attract or unlike charges attract. All right. So here we know that in one type there is, let's say in N-type, there are extra electrons. The charge carriers are electrons. And in P-type, we know that the charge carriers are holes. So these electrons are tempted to jump into the holes. All right. So they are jumping over, they are switching sides. All right. And so this right in the middle, the junction between those two, that particular layer is formed and that particular layer becomes a depletion layer. All right. So that is what is happening in the junction. And so when I conduct electricity, after a particular point, the electric current is increasing phenomenally. All right. Now that depends on your strength of the battery. For example, if the battery is less than, let's say, 0.5 volts, then we will not arrive at that particular point. All right. What am I speaking of? I'm speaking of a particular point after which that becomes a conductor. All right. So in forward biasing. So there are different concepts here. So we learned about semiconductor. We learned about the different types of semiconductors, the P-type and the N-type. We know the charge carriers in these two. Now we are trying to apply electric current to it, and we are trying to study it, whether it is going to behave the same as it was earlier. All right. So a combination of this P and N type forms a PN junction, and when I connect a positive terminal to the P type and a negative terminal to the N type and then conduct electricity, after this 0.7 volts, it starts to behave as a conductor. All right, if you were to look at this graph, this is what happens. So after 0.7, it really acts as a conductor wherein it's fully allowing the electrons to pass through. So till that 0.7 point, it was kind of resisting, it was kind of holding it, all right, because these holes were jumping in, and this the electrons were jumping into the holes, and then the particular layer which was formed, which is called as the depletion layer. All right. So that is what. So here, when a p-n junction is formed, some of the electrons from the n region. Remember, the charge carriers in the n region are electrons which have reached the conduction band. Now remember, there are different levels or different bands which we speak of. All right, are free to diffuse across the junction and combine with holes. So obviously, so when you have a p-type and an n-type, obviously this intercross attraction will happen. All right, so the electrons are attracted to the holes, so they're jumping. So at this particular layer, this particular depletion layer shrinks. All right, what do I mean by that? Depletion layer shrinks. So if you were to look again, coming back to this particular chart is very important. As you can see here, this is what happens in reverse bias. You can look at this diagram, and if you can see in forward bias what happens. So in forward bias, that means when I connect the positive terminal of the battery to the positive terminal, to the p type, and the n type to the and the negative terminal to the n type, then after this 0.7, it starts to conduct electricity. All right, this is what is happening in the microscopic level. All right, so in the reverse biasing, it does not conduct electricity. All right, very interesting. The same element, if you were to do a forward bias, that is where you connect the positive terminal of the battery to the p type and the negative terminal of the battery to the n type, it does not connect electricity till 0.7, and after 0.7 it conducts. Whereas if you do a reverse biasing, that is, you connect the positive terminal of the battery to the n type and the negative terminal of the battery to the p type, then it doesn't conduct electricity. All right, so this is the idea which revolutionized everything. All right, so which revolutionized the world of semiconductors, which revolutionized how equipments can store charges. All right. Um, so filling a hole makes a negative ion and leaves behind a positive ion on the n side. Now, this is very interesting. Now we know that holes are the holes are positive charged, but the holes are filled with electrons now. And so the p type at that particular region, right in the middle of this p-n junction, is where the p part of the junction is becoming more with electrons, that is n, it's having electrons, and the n type is having the positive charge. All right, it's very interesting to see what really happens there. All right, so a space charge builds up right in the middle. That particular region is called as the depletion region. All right, so we must know what a depletion region is. That's important as such. All right, so guys, I want to really focus on this. So that's where a lot of repetition is happening. All right, so we know by looking at this, what do I know? That these are holes. All right, and these are all electrons. All right, the circle with solid black inside is electron, and the circle with just a circle like this is a hole. All right, now why is this a forward bias? As you can see, this is a positive terminal of a battery. For all the ones who are very new to all this electronic denotation, this represents a resistor. What is a resistor? Resistor is another electronic device which kind of resists the flow of current. All right, we'll study that later on. Right now, it's of no significance. But what you must understand is this is how a battery is denoted. All right, one big line, which is a positive charge, one small line, and then another big line, another small line. So the big line here represents the positive terminal of the battery. The small line here represents the negative terminal of the battery. If you looked at a battery should have two terminals, the positive side and the negative side. When you go to a shop, for example, your torch, your toy, or anything which needs to be filled with a battery, you know that if you were to see a battery, it has two terminals. All right, so that's what I mean by here. Now, coming to a semiconductor, you know that this piece of semiconductor is called as p-type. Why? Because it's having holes. And this piece of semiconductor, you know, this is electrons, and so this is an n-type. So what am I doing? I'm joining my p-type semiconductor with my n-type semiconductor. I'm pasting it, I'm gluing it together, and then I'm allowing electric current to pass through it. Now my connection is very important. Now when is this said to be a forward biasing? It's said to be a forward biasing when the positive terminal of the battery, look at this big line over here, is connected to the positive, I shouldn't say positive, to the n-type. To the p-type. And similarly, my negative terminal of the battery is connected to the n-type of my semiconductor. Now, why is there a plus here? We know there is a plus here because I know in my p-type, my charge carrier is my holes, which is positive charged. And here, why is there a negative sign? I know in my n-type, my charge carrier is electron. All right. So a forward biasing is when you connect the positive terminal of the battery to the p-type and you connect the negative terminal of the battery to the n-type. Now what happens then? Now we know that there are holes over here, and there are electrons in the n-type and there are holes over here, and they try to jump. All right, only at this region. Now it's very interesting. Now as you can see here, these are all minus, whereas these are all plus. All right, how did that happen? Because some electrons jumped from over there to here. All right, and so these holes are now filled. All right, similarly these holes jumped to these holes jumped and these electrons jumped, so there was some movement from both the sides. And so interestingly, at this particular junction, this is what we call as a junction, p-n junction, at this right in the middle, as you can see in my p-type, there is negative charge. All this while I was saying p-type is positive charge, there is holes, but when you join with an n-type semiconductor material, there is transfer or there is infusion of charged particles from my n side. Similarly, on my n side, there is a bit of positive charge present here. Why? Because when the moment I send electric current, what really happens? Electrons are flowing in from my negative terminal of the battery to the n-type region, and so these electrons are being pushed. All right. So for an extent, only this region is there, and then it doesn't allow electric current to pass through. Only this matching happens. But after a 0.7 voltage, after a voltage of 0.7, when you increase the voltage level, this particular material acts as a metal or acts as a conductor, by meaning of which that the electrons are able to move through from my negative terminal of the battery.
It's the opposite of, I think, forward, sir.
Yeah, opposite. We are just changing the terminal. So we just need to connect the battery the other way around. So I'm connecting my negative terminal of my battery to my p-type, and I'm connecting the positive terminal of my battery to my n-type semiconductor. All right. What do you think will happen then?
Current does not flow, sir.
Do you think it will allow electricity to pass through, electrons to pass through?
No, sir.
All right. No. Okay. Interesting. All right. This is a very simple diagram. All right. Let's assume this is to be a diode. Now you must have heard of this term called diode. All right. We will come to that a little later. All right. So a diode is simply nothing but many types of these semiconductors. We have PNP, NPN, and so on. All right. So here, though, just for the sake of example, we've just taken two types, that is p-type and n-type. All right. We know that p-type has excess of holes, which is the charge carrier. In our n of electron, which is the negative charge carrier. All right. So in this, so when I connect my positive terminal of my battery to my N type and the negative terminal of my battery to my positive type, no current flows across the junction. All right. So this is the most important technique or understanding with when it comes to our NPN, when it comes to a PN junction. When we do forward biasing, our PN junction or NP junction conducts electricity. When we do a negative reverse biasing, it doesn't conduct electricity. All right. So this is what happens in a PN junction. All right. When we do a reverse biasing, if you were to look at the battery is reversed now. I'm just reversing the battery such that the negative terminal of the battery is now connected to my P type and the positive terminal is connecting to my N type. All right. So in all the cases, there is this depletion region. What is this depletion region? The junction at which this infusion of charged particles or ions happens, wherein these holes are filled with electrons and electrons are jumped over, and so this is achieving a positive charge. Now, if you were to wonder how did this become positive, whenever imagine whenever there is less electron, there is positive charge. So these electrons are jumping; they are tempted to jump to these holes. So my P type here is becoming at this junction, not the entire P type, only at this junction it's becoming negative, whereas my N type, if you were to look, is becoming positive. All right, because of the jumping of my electrons from here to here. All right. So in my reverse biasing, so when I connect the negative terminal of my battery to my P type and the positive terminal of my battery to my N type, it does not allow electric current to pass through. All right. So this is called as reverse biasing, wherein this particular semiconductor, when the batteries are reversed, it doesn't allow the current to flow through. All right. So we have different applications for this, using this as to how we are able to use this and so on. So, but remember, we must understand this. 0.7 is a threshold. What do I mean by threshold? When you come to any house, there is a door and the door is fixed upon a wooden frame. That is called as a threshold. So you come into the house, you need to come inside my threshold. To go outside the house, you are crossing my threshold, you're going out. So similarly, the threshold voltage for forward biasing for a particular PN junction to act as a conductor is 0.7 volts. So any voltage less than that, there is no current flow in that. But after a 0.7, it acts as a conductor and freely allows the charges to flow through it. All right. So this is an interesting feature because of which it has a wide range of applications. All right. Of course, we are not going to go into all these diode characteristics and all of that. Just to understand that in a PN junction, this is what happens. Our syllabus is confined to that. Of course, we will shed light to a few other things later on. All right. So how are we doing, students? Is this making sense? Is this getting interesting now?
Yes, sir.
Just as we had a semiconductor which acted differently in different times. All right. During reverse biasing, it did not allow the current. In forward biasing, after a certain point, it's allowed. We have other diodes, all right, wherein which allows current to flow through in both in reverse and in forward biasing. All right. So that has a different application as such, and so on. All right. So all that you need to know for with what we did today is we have semiconductor. We are doping the semiconductor. We can, by doping, we are arriving at it either having holes as a charge carrier or electrons as a charge carrier. If it is having holes as charge carrier, then it is p-type semiconductor. If it is having electrons as charge carriers, then it is n-type semiconductor. All right. And when these two p-type and n-type are joined together, there is one particular level which is formed, or layer which is formed right in the middle when the p and the n are meeting. That particular level or layer is called as a depletion layer, wherein the p-type in only at that particular layer is taking a negative charge, and an n-type is taking a positive charge. Why is this happening? Because the electrons are cross jumping to a hole, and since the electrons are jumping on the other side, my n-type is taking a positive charge slightly at that particular junction, and my p-type is taking a negative charge at that junction. Right now, after that, we learned that when we connect it to terminals of a battery in forward biasing, it conducts electricity after 0.7 volts, whereas whatever we do in our reverse biasing, it does not conduct electricity. All right.